This is the Honolulu Blues, sponsored by Call Sheet, a Detroit Lions podcast. Now here are your hosts Adam Stock, Julius Porter, and Nick Faber.
Honolulu Blues, we're back and we're better than ever. It looks like my mic was muted to start, but we're here. This is Nick Faber, that's Adam Stark, and that's Julius Porter. We are the trio that form the Honolulu Blues, and we are here to talk about preseason week 2, but that is not all. We will also be giving you the top 10 Detroit Lions entering the 2026 season via consensus rankings from us three. We will break down how we got there and what is to come of the 2026 season. But before we do all of that, let's always talk about Detroit sports that isn't the Lions. And really all we have to talk about right now are the Tigers and how bad they are stinking. They are doing well right now, winning 2-1. But before today, they have lost 9 of their last 10. Now 4.5 games out of the final wild card spot with just 31-ish games to go. Julius, how you feeling about our Tags?
Well, I'm pretty much an obituary season for the Tigers. They showed me a little something against the Pirates, but they slip up against the Royals, who I think are the inferior team. And the division is so trash. They had to trade Scooble. They had a top 10 payroll. It's just RIP season for the Tigers on my end.
Until there's an E next to their name, I'm always going to be believing. Adam, how are you feeling about the Tigers right now, my brother?
Not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob.
We're on a brutal skid right now. It's not going great. I don't know if we play the Guardians or White Sox again, but I feel like the Tigers will have to do something special to sneak in. But I'll tell you what, that run like 2-3 weeks ago, that was awesome. So a lot of young prospects. Think the future's bright, even without Scooble. And if we could just get a damn reliever or closer, the Tigers are a playoff team.
Yes. Soon enough. And also we have a ton of youth. Like our farm system is we should all be excited about that, but I know Detroit's just done waiting for their teams to be good, i.e. the Red Wings. I mean, even the Pistons a little bit, but the Tigers, like, they want to see this youth come to fruition, and hopefully we'll get to see that in 2028. But what we did come to see to fruition, I can't talk anymore, is a Detroit Lions victory, the first one of the 2026 season. Sure, it's a preseason game. Sure, we only had $30 down on it. No, we didn't. We should have put money down. It's probably the first time we haven't bet on a Lions.
Right. Yeah. Why wasn't this brought up?
We were all over the map. What are you gonna do? I had 2 fantasy drafts that day, so I was all busy. But the Lions did win. Very low scoring preseason game. We got to see a lot. I would say one of the major things that I took away was Derek Moore and how amped up he looked. And in game 1, it was Ahmed Hassanin, right? Hassanin was that fire on the defensive line that showed he wanted to be here. Derek Moore, game 2, was that guy. He gets you excited. Like, what if we actually do have another edge rusher opposite of Hutch? I don't know. The thoughts started swirling. The excitement started rising. Julius, what did you think about Derek Moore? The entire defensive line as a full, if you would like. Where are your thoughts on that?
Hail to the conquering heroes. No, let me stop. No, but hey, I really love Derek Moore, former Michigan man, just like Aiden Hutchinson. It would be so great to have 2 Michigan bookend defensive ends to just destroy quarterbacks for the Lions. It's just like a dream come true for me personally as a fan of the university and of the Lions. But until the preseason ends and the regular season begins and we see him do it week one, is just a dream. But I am very encouraged by Derek Moore and Hassanine and the entire defensive line and offensive line, which I know we're going to get into soon.
Mm-hmm. And Adam, Derek Moore, what was your takeaway from preseason game 2?
Similar to what Julius said, it was great. Good to see him in action, back healthy. His first NFL action, but it is still preseason. You can't write him off as a star after one strip sack. It's good to see. It's great to see. But overall, I'm not going crazy about it. My little Michigan inside inner Adam is going crazy about it, but I think he's going to be good. I like the Derek Moore pick. Watched him at Michigan for 4 years. And overall, I think he's going to be beneficial. But this Lions defense, boys, I think Kelvin Shepard has figured it out. And I know it's preseason, but through 2 games, we've allowed one touchdown. One touchdown that came off of a fumble in the rain where the Bengals got the ball on like the 7-yard line and Joe Flacco threw a nice little out route. But overall, it's been field goals or defensive touchdowns for the opposing team. So the Lions switched to a 4-2-5 this year. I think it's going to be great for him. It's going to be good against the pass. We have Campbell and Barnes locking it down for the linebackers. Don't really need to worry about that third outside guy if it's going to be Rolder, Rodriguez, or whoever. Then you got Devin White as, a backup dude. I think Calvin Shepard is starting to figure it out a little bit. And I know it is preseason, but still, you're getting the Lions' third stringers versus another team's third stringers, and it's basically up to the coach to give out the right play calls. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Shep.
I like
also too, real quick, I do
Mhm.
have all the PFF grades and stats pulled up. So if anyone wants any PFF grades, let me know.
Yeah, what's Derek Moore's? Let's definitely jump into that.
So Derek Moore had he played 25 snaps, had a 70.9 defensive rating, 12th best on the defense. He had a 70.6 run defense grade, a 72 tackle grade, a 73.7 pass rush grade, which that 73.7 was the best on the team for all the defensive linemen except Eric O'Neill, who only played 9 snaps, who I think just had a couple big plays in those 9 snaps, and that's why he got rated so high.
Right. I love to hear that, Derek Moore. I do want to go back to the 4-2-5 real quick. So I like the 4-2-5 idea, especially because I feel like our linebacker depth isn't superb, I guess. But I will also say that the depth at secondary is also very low, in my opinion. And if you're going to be trotting out 5 cornerbacks on a routine basis, one injury, not 5 cornerbacks, sorry, 5 secondary, but one injury, especially with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, where they're at right now in life, doesn't that seem a bit risky? Doesn't that seem like we're kind of putting a lot of eggs in one basket, hoping our secondary can stay healthy?
Yeah, I definitely see that. We brought in a lot of guys. We brought in Chuck Clark, Christian Eisen, Avonte Maddox. We have, not Avonte Maddox. We brought him back. Thomas Harper, he's back. Speaking of him, he got injured. So yeah, like you said, Nick, couple injuries, could skew this team. Roger McCreary, that was the guy I was trying to think of.
Who has been balling out so far?
He's got I saw a stat. I want to say it was the highest PFF grade for any cornerback in the NFL. It might have been any defensive player, but I think it was any cornerback, which, probably played only like 40, 45 total snaps, small sample size, but still, we'll take
we'd
it.
love to see that. Julius, thoughts on this 4-2-5 defense? Are you excited to see what it brings, or are you a little timid?
Oh, I'm very much excited. I think we needed a change of scenario on the defense, change of the scheme. With a 4-2-5, you mentioned the linebackers, Nick, and how we don't have a lot of linebacker depth. However, look out for the recent signing of Devin White as a huge impact because he's the kind of linebacker that can make a 4-2-5 work with a Jack Campbell by his side. we thought that guy was going to be Malcolm Rodriguez, but it looked like Devin White might be better at that weak side linebacker spot in the 4-2-5 than Malcolm Rodriguez is. At least Malcolm Rodriguez is just not as athletic going field sideline to sideline, but in coverage it looks about even. So I wouldn't be surprised if Devin White is a surprise starter week 1 next to Jack Campbell, making that 4-2-5 work a little better. But the idea and the dream behind that 4-2-5 is to have Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch in it.
Yeah. Speaking of Malcolm Rodriguez, I drove by his house, not realizing it was his house, and he was outside pulling his garbage bins in. And I like stopped on my brakes and like looked at him, and he looked at me. And then I debated on like rolling my window down. I was wearing a Rodrigo jersey as well, so I was just gonna roll my window down and be like, "Yo, I have your shirt on. That is hilarious." But he saw me and like sprinted inside. So I think he knew that I knew who he was, and I don't think he was ready to say hi to anyone because
That's
he went
hilarious.
sprinting. And I saw his
I think
truck.
he got a newborn baby in the house just like you, bro.
Probably exactly. So he was like, "Nah, dude, I ain't trying to bring any germs around me right
Like
now."
I have 2 minutes walking out, taking this trash. I'm not talking to
you
anyone
messing
right
with
now.
his brake, Nick. You messing with his brake.
Yeah, I know. He probably thought I was like TMZ. He's like, Malcolm Rodriguez takes out his trash like every other human being. My God. Random funny story. Anyways. Let's keep moving on for this preseason game. Josh Dobbs, Luke Altmaier. This is becoming quite the quarterback 2 battle. I was under the impression, especially after week 1, that this was Altmaier's job. I loved the way Luke Altmaier played in week 1. I was an rabid fan of him just from the small sample size. Dobbs comes out, fumbles the ball, and it just doesn't look great. And then he has this awesome, like he just has he not an awesome game, but he has a game that where it makes you go, oh, is Josh Dobbs going to be the backup quarterback? So I want to know right now, Adam, we'll start with you. Who you think will be quarterback 2 at the beginning of the season, and just what were your thoughts on the quarterbacks in general from preseason game 2?
I think it'll be Dobbs. I feel like the Lions are a little hesitant on giving an undrafted free agent the backup quarterback role. Dobbs has worked with Petzing before. He's been kind of this guy where, he's a backup spot start type player, can be good, not great, but overall has NFL experience, played with multiple teams. He's got some mobility, as we saw in that 50-yard rush. But overall, Altmaier has really impressed me to the point of where I think they keep 3 quarterbacks. I think Altmaier and Dobbs make the team. Altmaier finished with a 67 offensive rating, 9th best on the offense, a 67.3 pass grade from PFF, while Dobbs was low on the list. Dobbs had the 6th worst grade with a 52 overall and a 38.6 pass grade. So I do feel like this is a lot closer than a lot of people think. It wouldn't quite shock me if Detroit said, you know what, Jared Goff hasn't missed a single game. Let's hope he doesn't miss a single game for the Lions, and let's give this spot to Altmaier. We save a roster spot. Now we can keep, another offensive lineman, defensive lineman, or whoever it may be. So overall, I do like Altmaier a little bit better, but I just think the Lions want someone that's been there before.
I hear that. Julius, thoughts and opinions on this?
If I had to put my money down, I'd say the job is going to Joshua Dobbs just based off experience. And, that 50-yard run was pretty impressive. Even though Altmaier himself also has some mobility, he's not some slow-footed, giant. But I think I just like Luke Altmaier's potential. So when you're a quarterback in a preseason, playing behind the reserve offensive line, you're going to get pressure in your face on every play action, on every drop back. And I think that Altmaier would look better. I got a feeling he would look better behind a starting offensive line than Dobbs would. I know what Dobbs looks like behind a starting offensive line. We've seen it the last decade he's been in the league, but I think it's Dobbs. I think they're going to go for the experience of Dobbs and Altmaier. I think he's showing enough potential to win that quarterback 3 job because if they put him on a practice squad, he might be gone in a week or 2.
I don't want to say Dobbs. I don't want to do that, but the fact of the matter is I do think you guys are right. I do believe Dobbs is going to take over that 2 spot. But that stinks because I love Luke Altmaier, and I already think that it's hard enough to break into the NFL as a quarterback. So it's tough. But Dobbs has shown that he can really lead the team. If Goff goes down, Altmaier is still a question mark. So I can agree with all of that. But let's move on to who's going to be protecting Dobbs and Altmaier if Goff were to go down. That's our offensive line. We're going to go back to you, Julius. Did the offensive line allowing 5 sacks in the second preseason game shake your confidence a little bit in what this group could be, though it was the backups, or are you a little nervous? And I guess it wasn't just the backups. Some starters did play. But anyways, are you feeling a little bit nervous?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit nervous just because I think that the offensive line and the secondary are just 2 Achilles heels that we got to get over. Is Drew Scruggs, I think, is going to start center. I think this game separated Drew Scruggs and Zeph McLaughlin. I mean, McLaughlin struggled. He played most of the game, and he struggled a lot of it. Drew Scruggs, you could tell he kind of knows what he's doing. He'll probably be a better fit making calls at the line and all that communication. But I'm still worried about Mahogany, the other guard spot. I just really want to see Panay Sewell out there. For some reason, because even though the starters played, Panay Sewell didn't play. So to me, it wasn't the starting offensive line. You know what I'm saying? It just, even though we're missing Cade Mays, I will say this about center. Even though we're missing Cade Mays, I feel a little better knowing that we got Juice Strokes while he's out.
Right. Adam, offensive line thoughts? Oh, Adam's gone. I wasn't even looking.
Whoops.
Oh, no, he's back.
There we go. I was muted there, and when I change screens, does it kill the video?
It sure does. It sure does.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, that's the reason why I'm looking at other tabs. So, anyways, Scruggs, who'd have thought that Montgomery trade would kind of save us a bit, because we would be trotting out Seth McLaughlin, giving Graham Glasgow a call, or seeing if some other veteran center that's 33 years old could come play for us. So Scruggs, I do think is going to win the job. He's listed as the backup center behind Cade Mays. He had an okay game. He finished with, where's Scruggsy? He finished with a 58.7 overall grade, but a 79.1 pass blocking grade, which I do like to see. Played 15 snaps. Of the guys that came out that started, Tate Ratledge played 15 snaps. Mahogany played 15 snaps. So we saw some potential starters playing. We also saw Larry Borum play, who has not been good in the preseason, but he has been playing at left tackle, where I dove into his profile when the Lions signed him, and he was night and day from left tackle to right tackle. He is so much better on the right side than he is the left side. Not sure why, but his numbers were complete opposite. So overall, I think it is going to be Scruggs' job. We also saw Michael Neese, a potential candidate to win that center position, go down on the first or second play with an injury. I don't think there has been an update on that, so not sure how bad it was, but Seth McLaughlin, he was a 2024 Remington Award winner, best center in college for Ohio State, had a lot of potential, but blew his Achilles out, went undrafted, and he's been solid, but I think Detroit is going to give it to, a guy like Scruggs, who is versatile, can play it, and seems to have, a little more chemistry with Goff as opposed to, an undrafted rookie.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Scruggs should be slotted in. You both hit it nail on the head. And we'll move on from the preseason week 2, because after that, though the injuries weren't mass by any means, the Lions thought it was time to go out and sign a few people. So the Lions have added defensive back Jason Taylor II. They have added running back Roydell Williams, who is an UDFA who went to college at Alabama, then Florida State. They added center Gus Hartwig, and then they even brought in everyone's favorite Kareem Hunt, running back for the Chiefs, for a visit. So, Adam, before we let Julius talk about how exciting it would be to bring Kareem Hunt into this team, I'm going to let you go on. Just any thoughts on any of these four guys? Do they legitimate, like obviously Kareem Hunt wasn't signed. We brought him in for a visit. The other guys are signed. Do any of them have a chance of making the roster, or are these just depth players for the last preseason?
Probably not. The Lions running back room has been a mess. It's right now Jahmyr Gibbs and just a bunch of practice squad players, with Isaiah Pacheco dealing with a sprained MCL. It seems also like Detroit might have a thing for Chiefs running backs after signing Pacheco, giving Kareem Hunt and Clyde Edwards-Helaire workouts. So not sure what that is, but uh, overall, I'm not too concerned with the running back room. I think once Pacheco gets back and gets healthy, it'll be a good 1-2 punch. Now, that's the concern there. Pacheco has dealt with a lot of injuries the last 2 years. So hopefully his body isn't starting to, break down and betray him, and he can stay healthy the rest of the season. But overall, we also did sign Gus Hartwig, which kind of tells me to the Michael Neese point I made. His injury might be a little more significant, that, we wanted to get another center just to get some reps with the backups and, not give it all on Juice Scruggs and Seth McLaughlin. So overall, I don't think any of these guys will make the team. I think maybe that Travion Williams, who we signed a few days before the Commanders game, could have a shot. He did have the touchdown. He looked decent, but I do think it's looking like it's going to be a 4 running back room with Gibbs, Pacheco, Vaki, and likely Jacob Sailors.
I agree. I am not too excited about any of these guys, but Jason Taylor II may just be a name we all want to keep our eyes on, making it back to the practice squad. Like I said, our secondary depth is lackluster, and if there's an injury, this could be a guy who fills in late in the season. Julius, any thoughts on any of these signings, and especially want to hear your thoughts on the Kareem Hunt visit?
The Kareem Hunt visit and then the rest of the signings, they just all point towards, look like the Lions are just looking for more depth at the running back position. Maybe they don't trust Isaac Pacheco that much to be that healthy. Maybe they don't trust Sailors to be give him 10 to 12 carries in a game if they have to. So anytime teams are targeting certain positions like this, they're looking at depth in the preseason. They're looking at guys who can come in and win a spot at the end of training camp. So I don't think any of them are going to make the team. Kareem Hunt, I'd rather go with Vaki.
Yeah,
I agree too. And if we do sign Kareem Hunt, you're definitely going to have a handful of fans and media, oh, they let Terrion Arnold go, but they're, okay with Kareem Hunt. And I would be opposed to bringing Kareem Hunt. He did his time. He served his suspension. He's been, good ever since. But there is, it could create a small distraction in the room. And for the type of player he is, he's just a little bit older. I'm not too sold on it. Maybe if Pacheco, goes down later in the season again, and we need someone else, maybe. But none of these guys we brought in, I'm not too confident in that they'll make the team.
I will devil's advocate for Kareem Hunt just a little, and I understand the offensive line is obviously different than where it was where I'm about to go. But at one point, we had Jamal Williams break Barry Sanders' record for most touchdowns, and all of them seemingly came within 2 to 3 yards. And if there is any guy on the free agency docket who might want to spell Jahmyr Gibbs at goal line touches to save his body sometimes here and there, I don't believe handing it off to Vaki or Sailors will do much effect, but handing off to Kareem Hunt within the 5-yard line, the way Detroit likes to play inside the goal line through 4 downs, may present an option for Kareem Hunt to find a home on this team and not break Jamal Williams or Barry Sanders' record or anything of that nature, but possibly even finish with double-digit touchdowns like Jerome Bettis in his last year, just like 10 attempts for 10 touchdowns and 10 yards. You know, it's like that might just kind of be where he makes plays. So just a little devil's advocate for those guys. But before we move on to our consensus top 10, was there any last notes, concerns, questions, comments we wanted to say on the preseason week 2 victory, starting with you, Julius, or did we cover everything you liked?
I believe we covered everything I like. I believe I mentioned Devin White, and I believe he's going to be a starting linebacker. Yeah, we covered just about everything.
I got
shout
one.
out to Jake Bates too. Shout out to Jake Bates.
Jake Bates.
He did miss one field goal.
He definitely missed a field goal, and it was like a 55-yarder, that bastard. But all right.
I do have one.
Shout out Jake Bates. Go ahead, Adam.
Isaac Tesla. Are we concerned at all? He had 27 snaps, not a single target, a low PFF grade. I want to say he had finished 27th out of 32 graded players, a 52.9 overall grade with, that's about it. I would say pass blocking, but Tesla's not going to be doing too much pass blocking. So Isaac Tesla, after that first game, had those 2 drops, both kind of bad drops. Game 2 plays a good amount. 27 snaps is a good chunk and doesn't see a single target. So, Nick, you concerned at all, or is it still, just preseason jitters, second year, whatever?
A few things. So, am I concerned for his career? No. Am I concerned for this year? Yeah, as I would be with a lot of sophomores who find themselves in a sophomore slump. Not to say that he was up so much where he could really slump down, but also he's getting these passes from people that aren't named Jared Goff, and we all know the ball's going to come out a little bit different. But the fact of the matter is that Tesla is going to be the 5th, maybe 6th option pretty much every passing play for the Lions. Am I concerned that my 5th option has a little bit of hand troubles? I mean, just as much as I was with Josh Reynolds being my 3rd wide receiver and 5th passing option. And yeah, that burnt us late in the season in the NFC Championship game. And if Tislaw drops a pass in the NFC Championship game, we'll all be able to come back to these preseason games and be like, oh, yep, saw that coming. But does him not having his best year mean that the Lions can't go 15-2 and make the NFC Championship or beyond? No. So I'm not that concerned for the Lions. A little concerned for Tislaw this year. Not concerned for Tislaw overall in his career. That's how I'd answer that. Julius?
Real quick, Isaac Tesla. Yeah, I'm actually concerned about him because I've been investigating and digging into it, and it seems like he's had route running separation problems ever since he was in college. He has a hard time separating from cornerbacks out of his breaks in the open field, which, if this continues, I think the best case scenario is that he's our X Factor red zone threat. Throw him between the 20s in the end zone and throw him some fades. He's great at going up. He's super athletic. Or tell him to beef up 30 pounds and play tight end. One or the other. But I'm a little concerned. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little more of Greg Dortch or Tay Martin in 3 receiver sets instead of Tesla.
I love that. Great way to end that one, Adam. Great question. Great answer, Julius. Let's go to our consensus top 10 Detroit Lions for this season. Now, we're not talking about for the future, for past, for the whole career, anything like that. We're just talking about this season. And we had a tie for number 10. We had 2 players come in. We couldn't – I almost, put the kibosh and made it one of the others. So the 2 players that come in at number 10 for the Detroit Lions 2026 top 10 consensus players, Kirby Joseph and Aleem McNeil. So Kirby Joseph may not even play. We are absolutely hoping for that, but we all gave him the honorable vote because if he does play, we know how good he can be. Aleem McNeil had an off year last year, but was recovering from an ACL injury, now back. And from what I've heard from watching Inside the Den and reading some of the reports from training camp, he's been a menace. So me and let me get this right. Me and Adam both had Aleem McNeil higher than Julius, who had him dead last on his list. Kirby Joseph was second to last on our list for me and Adam, but third to last for Julius. So, guys, I need a tiebreaker right now. Who should be the number 10 player, Aleem McNeil or Kirby Joseph? We're going to start with Adam.
All right. I will give my case for Kirby. I think if he can play 12 games, his impact will be more than Aleem McNeil playing 14 or 15 games because, I know we would love Aleem to play all 17 games, but it's going to be tough. He's dealt with injuries before. Not exactly sure how many full seasons he's played, but overall, Kirby, we saw the drop off with kind of what we have going on in the 4-2-5, like what you're saying, Nick. There's not a whole lot of margin for error with more injuries. So if Kirby can come back and be just him and Branch duo back, I think that will give the Lions a major boost. And this is no shade to Aleem McNeil. I think he's going to be great this year. But Kirby Joseph, he's a turnover machine. And for a former first-team All-Pro and interception leader, I think if you give me 12 games of Kirby, I'll take him over 14, 15 games of Aleem.
And Julius, who would you put for our 10th ranked player?
I'm gonna make the argument for Aleem McNeil, actually, even though I ranked him lower than Kirby. Kirby currently is not on the roster, and Aleem McNeil looks in the best shape of his life. And I just want to give a shout out to his music catalog. If y'all ever want to check him out on Spotify, Apple Music,
Dream.
he goes by Dream, and he makes some pretty. I've saved quite a few songs into my collection from Aleem McNeil. Aleem
He's
the
got a
Dream
good
McNeil.
voice.
And he has a great voice, and he's also got a great rip move. And I would not be surprised if he's a Pro Bowl player this year. So I'm gonna give that 10th tiebreaker to Aleem McNeil.
So real quick, Aleem has played 17 games his first two seasons. Then he played 13 in 2023, 14 in 2024, and 10 last year.
Okay. He's due for a full season.
He kind of is, though.
Our guy, mile marker 301, said, I think Kirby is amazing, but can we count on him? Camp is pretty much over. And I think he's right. I don't know where we stand on Kirby. I truly thought we were going to have a lot better understanding by the time the final preseason was kind of rolling around. And we were just mere weeks away, mere days away from the first game of the season. But we still have no word. I'm going to side with Julius on this. I'm going to go Aleem McNeil is our 10th player. Let's move to number 9. Let me figure out who I have here. And that is a man who is coming back from injury for like the second or third time, Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta comes in getting the highest ranking from me, second highest ranking from Julius, lowest ranking out of us three from Adam. Adam, why did you have Laporta so low on your list?
I just think there's going to be too many mouths to feed. This was clearance on his injury. A little update on that. Dan Campbell came out not Dan Campbell. Laporta came out and practiced today, was doing drills, was participating in 11-on-11s, looked good, and seems like he is back to Sam Laporta, which is huge news. So Laporta, if he can return to himself, he will definitely deserve to be ranked a little bit higher. But with just how, the Lions' schedule is with weak teams, I feel like that we're going to rely on the defense, and it's going to be a Gibbs, Amon-Ra. Those are going to be our safety belts. But Laporta, you can't deny him. He's also going to be working with Petzing, who worked with Trey McBride, helped that emergence. And not saying McBride's emergence was all Petzing, but maybe there was something to it. Overall, I just think that Laporta won't see as many targets and looks as he did in week or in year one. I do think there will definitely be games where he will be massive contributor, but I do think there will be games where he will just have 2 catches for 26 yards and it'll be Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and Gibbs just taking over.
I love that. I see that. I can see that. I disagree. I think I have Laporta so much higher because we saw when Laporta went down last year how inept the offense seemed to run. Jared Goff needs his tight end, needs his third down security blanket. And when he's gone, ASB is smothered on third down plays and fourth down plays, thus leaving it up to J-Mo and Gibbs, who are great, but are they? I don't know if they're those short yardage type of players that you absolutely can depend on every single time, almost like you can with ASB and Sam Laporta. Tigers also had another one with Hayu Lee scoring Javi Baez after a triple from Baez. Let's go Tigers. Anyways, we'll move on from Laporta to our number 8 Detroit Lion of 2026. This is Jameson Williams, another pass catcher. We got Waymo down at number 8. Some people might disagree with that. So I had him lowest, where Adam and Julius both had him ranked the same. So I'm going to defend why I put J-Mo low. I think J-Mo missing time wouldn't deter the Lions from where they're at right now. It would deter Adam maybe from wearing that jersey. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you go to YouTube to watch our shows. But Adam just whipped out his nice Waymo jersey. We all love Waymo, and we love him as a person. But can you tell me if Waymo were to get injured, the Lions have a significant more chance of losing a game than they would if maybe some of the other guys like Sam Laporta were to get injured? I wouldn't think so. Do you guys want to defend J-Mo at all? Do we want to move on to number 7? Why do we have J-Mo where we have him, boys?
Yeah, I'll defend him a bit. I think that this is going to be the first season where teams are really going to be paying attention to him. I think that his deep threat ability.
A 5th-year breakout? I don't know if he's had 1,000 yards 2 years in a row, but it's barely over 1,000. Would it be a breakout if he hits 13, 14?
Yeah, but
yeah, it would.
Didn't really play his first year. Second year was kind of
6-game suspension. Right?
Yeah, big suspension. Third year dealt with a 2-game suspension. Fourth year played great, and now is coming into his 5th year. I think with this Drew Petzing offense, we saw what John Morton did to him those first 8 weeks. He was invisible. He was, not even a player that could be counted on, not counted on, but like a impactful player. Then Dan Campbell takes over the play calling, and he lights it up. Has 3 games out of the next 5 with over 100 receiving yards. Finishes with 7 total touchdowns after having 2 with John Morton calling. And I think with just a competent play caller and Petzing, and even with Mike Kafka being that passing game coordinator, I think he's in line for a big, big season. I think Goff has now trusted him a lot more. That chemistry is going to be there, where we saw early on, he was having drops. He was, making some bad mistakes. And now I think he's just a fully matured elite wide receiver too, similar to what, kind of like a Jalen Waddle, Tyreek situation was when, the Dolphins had both of them at, peak performance. And I just think that J-Mo still has one more gear that he can go up.
I love that. Julius, did you want to get any words in on J-Mo, or we want to?
I mean, I can kind of sense a J-Mo breakout. And just to connect the two real quick, I think J-Mo is a better player, a better weapon for the Lions when Sam Laporta is on the field. Because Sam Laporta soaks up the middle of the field for J-Mo and for Amon-Ra. And he also is a very good blocker. Even if we have a couple offensive linemen out, Laporta will pick up the slack on the edge. So I can understand why we would rank Laporta higher than JMO, but I do think JMO is the more talented player. And everything I'm seeing out of training camp, I would not be surprised if he breaks out higher.
The only thing I'll argue, not that I want to argue because I love JMO, but Adam, you were saying how it was the John Morton, Dan Campbell switch that let JMO kind of get unleashed. I think it was Sam Laporta getting injured, who only played the first 9 games, and then JMO got unleashed because Jared Goff didn't have Sam Laporta to throw to. And I think our offense struggled because of that. So just because JMO's stats go up does not mean our offense goes up, in my opinion. In fact, JMO is just sometimes a better decoy than he is a receiver. But I hope he's awesome this year. I hope you guys are right. I hope he does break out 1,500 yards, leads the team in reception or receiving yards. Would be great. So far, number 10, Aleem McNeil. Honorable mention, Kirby Joseph. Number 9, Sam Laporta. Number 8, Jamison Williams. Number 7 is Brian Branch. Brian Branch, also a guy we're hoping we get a nice, good chunk of games out of this year, but he's so good, we still have him ranked above JMO, above Laporta, above Aleem McNeil, above Kirby Joseph, above guys like DJ Reed, Derek Barnes, Tyleek Williams. Brian Branch, he seems to be the heartbeat of the defense when he is playing, but when will he get on the field? Let's take a look at where everyone ranked him. Adam and Nick had him a little bit lower. They had him 8th, not 7th on their list, where Julius had him 5th on his list. So I want to hear why, Julius, you have him as your second highest. Second highest defensive player on your list.
Yeah, I just think when Brian Branch is on the field, he is one of the best free safeties, if not the best free safety in the league. And I'm not convinced that a blown Achilles is going to keep him down like like it didn't keep other great safeties down. Sometimes getting injured. Brian Branch, I just have more confidence in him recovering from his injury than I do Curry Joseph. And I'm just a little worried that by his playing style and his size that he can get re-injured. But he wasn't real injury prone before he blew out his Achilles. So I'm just waiting on the guy to come back because I know when he comes back, he's going to help solidify our secondary with or without Kirby Joseph.
I love that. Now, Adam, you and I both have him as our third ranked defensive player on our list. Brian Branch, 7th, above JMO, above Sam Laporta. Can you defend that?
I think the healthy Branch would probably be a little closer to 5 for me, but I still think there is, the Achilles tier might make him a step slower. We're not guaranteed to see the Brian Branch of, 25, 24, 23, etc. He's a phenomenal player. If you promised me he would return to his exact play style, I would probably agree with you, Julius. But for now, I need to see it first. And he is missing those, at least 4 games, likely, unless he, miraculously gets pulled off the pup list before they cut down to the 53-man roster, which I don't think will happen, but you never know. Um, I I think Branch will be more of a later impactful guy. I think he'll take him a minute to get his, feet back to normal. And then we will see the last 4 games into the playoffs, the elite Brian Branch, which to me is great. But what we've seen from Jack Campbell, who would be that guy that was, ranked 2 or 3 on the defense, I think Campbell would be a bit more impactful. Campbell also has the green dot, is really starting to seem like he might be the best linebacker in the NFL.
Well, let's
And
hold off on him because guess who's coming up next? We'll just jump right into it. Adam said we're done with Brian Branch. Let's go on to the number 6 Detroit Lion of 2026. That's our number 2 ranked defensive player, Adam and I. Adam, keep going about Jack Campbell. What you got to say about him?
Yeah, for took him 3 seasons to earn first team All Pro, which is pretty dang impressive. He's been an absolute Iron Man. I don't think he's missed a single game either. Surprisingly, hasn't had an interception, so I do think that is just absolutely due. He's a tackle machine, led the NFL in tackles. He can get sacks. He's fast. He is a just one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in the NFL. And Campbell just being able to, wear the green dot, control the defense, I think gives him a little bit bigger of a bump than Branch, who, not saying, Chuck Clark could, be more like a easy replaceable guy for Branch, but I think if you take away Jack Campbell, the drop off is more significant as opposed if you take away Brian Branch.
All right. And then Julius, you had Brian Branch ranked 6th, Jack Campbell ranked 9th on your top 10. Do you want to defend that at all?
It was a very tough ranking. Jack Campbell could have easily touched where Brian Branch, I could have swapped them. But Jack Campbell, he's just more of a wild card in my mind because he just had a breakout last year. He's a interior off-ball linebacker. I do think that, like I said earlier, I do think the addition of Devin White, if Devin White is going to start next to him, is going to could propel him to have a Urlacher type year. I forgot the linebacker that used to play next to Urlacher in Chicago, but he really made Urlacher's
Oh,
life much easier. And I even think
Lance
Ray Lewis
Briggs.
had,
Lance
yeah,
Briggs.
Lance Briggs, that was his name. Lance Briggs, good one, Adam. But Lance Briggs, that's what I think Devin White can provide for Jack Campbell. He can give him kind of that Urlacher lift by just having just two ball hawks in that 4-2-5. I'm telling you, I can see what Shepard is thinking.
I can see what he's scheming. Let's get to number 5,
Real quick,
Detroit
Julius, did
Lions.
you forget about your boy Derek Barnes?
Yeah, you've been the
No,
biggest Derek Barnes lover since our show started, dude.
I didn't forget about Derek Barnes, but let me tell you, Derek Barnes is a lethal nickel linebacker. And I didn't say 4-2-5. I said nickel. And he's good. He's our third linebacker. And that's not to say he won't have an impact in some games. Because he most definitely will. I mean, I love Derek Barnes. But same could be said for Rodrigo, who I also think is going to lose his spot to Devin White.
Yeah, I love Rodrigo. I love Derek Barnes. Screw it. I love, you know who I actually love? I love Trevor Nowaski. I want him to remain a Lion and be like an awesome player for us because I just love that kid. Enough of the defense. We got one more defender to go. I don't know if anyone can take a guess who that'll be, but we'll get to him when we get to him. He is not number 5. Number 5 is our quarterback, which I think if you argue who is like most needed for the team to be successful, Goff probably should be number 1 because if the Lions lose Goff out of every single player on their team, it's going to be rough sledding for the Lions. But ultimately, if everybody stays healthy, we have Jared Goff consensusly at number 5. Adam ranked him number 6. I ranked him number 5. Julius ranked him number 5. Not one person had him in the top 4. Adam, why do you think none of us put Jared Goff, the quarterback, the guy who runs the team, who holds the keys, who has the hardest position in all of sports, is number 5?
Goff, it's interesting because if you were to grant an MVP season out of any Lions player and you gave it to Goff, he would immediately take the Lions probably to the Super Bowl, honestly, because that's just how quarterback kind of works with NFL teams. I was more so looking at it from a little bit of a talent perspective as opposed to more impactful, but I definitely see the case where Goff could be higher. I could, yeah, our boy, uh, mile
Miles.
marker. I think Goff could be number 1. He's constantly underrated, constantly slandered. I forget what list it was, but they put him at quarterback 17, and that's ridiculous.
That's so
He's 4 straight seasons of over 4,000 yards, 3 straight seasons over 4,500 yards, 4 straight seasons of over 30 touchdowns. He's just so consistent. I knock on wood as hard as I can when I say this. Hasn't missed a game for the Lions, and overall has just been very reliable. So I love Goff, but this might have swayed me to bump him up a little more, because if you take Goff off this team and you put a backup in, it's gonna be a
It's
lot different as
over.
opposed if you take, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Hutch. Yeah, the season's over if you take Goff off.
Not
Anyone
the way
else?
Josh Dobbs was running, boys. Mike Vick 2.0, boys. Charlie Villanueva and Mike Vick's buddy. No, okay.
We'll be lucky if we win one half with Josh Dobbs. With Josh Dobbs, we'll be lucky to win one half with every other starter healthy.
Jared Goff should be higher on the list, but he's not. He's number 5. Let's go to number 4. We're going to get to the top 4 Detroit Lions of 2026. Number 4 is Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this could get controversial. Amon-Ra St. Brown, talent-wise, might be number 1, number 2. Like, he's up there, but we have him number 4. Let's look at where everyone ranked him. Adam ranked him 3rd. Julius ranked him 3rd. Nick ranked him 4th. And apparently through that, he got to 29 total points, 1 point behind the number 3 player. I guess maybe I'll have to sit here and defend why I put ASB 4th. And it kind of goes the same thing, which was the way I looked at this ranking, which was how impactful would they be if they aren't on the team, but also how impactful are they when they are on the field? And St. Brown obviously is the best wide receiver on the team. I think a top 3 wide receiver in the league. I do not want to say top 5 because I cannot think of 4 better receivers than him at a given time, at any point in time, just because he's smaller and people want to call him a slot merchant or whatever. He also had a little bit of a down year last year when it came to drops. Still a top 3 wide receiver in the league, but still number 4 on the Lions because the impact that ASB has is insurmountable. I get it. But if he is injured for a few weeks, the show rolls on. And as much as we had some thoughts about Tesla and negativity or nervousness around him, given that spot, I bet he succeeds very well with Goff throwing at him. So I'm going to go ASB sitting at 4. We're not going to defend him because our show's starting to go a little long. That's it, boys. Deal with it. ASB is number 4. We'll get to you guys next because next, number 3 is the last defensive player on the list, Aiden Hutchinson. Hutchinson ranked number 2 by Julius and number 4 for Adam. I was right in the middle at number 3. I'm going to let you two talk about why you ranked Hutchinson 2nd and why you ranked him 4th. We're going to start with the good news, which is Julius. Why did you rank him 2nd best Detroit Lion of this season?
Because our defense is everything in a way. I remember when he snapped his leg against the Cowboys. And little did we know it, our dream season ended. That was the beginning of the very end. People just started dropping like flies. Nobody even tried anymore. We need him on the field. He provides a threat to the ball every snap he's on the field. He's one of the best in the NFL. And I could easily rank him number 1 if it wasn't for the person I ranked at number 1.
Yeah. And we'll get to number 1 in a minute. I believe we all have the same number 1, but we're not talking about number 1 right now. We're talking about Adam's number 4 player, Aiden Hutchinson, who is the number 3 Honolulu Blues consensus player. Adam, why did you rank him 4th?
So I love Hutchinson. I think he is phenomenal. I think he is a game wrecker. But after Hutchinson went down, the Lions lost one more regular season game, and that was to the Commanders, to the Bills. Then they would lose to the Commanders in the playoffs, and I do think Hutch could have had an impact on that game had he played. Lions did lose by, 14 points, so maybe not enough to make up 14 points. But overall, I just think that the three guys I had above him, I believe it was, Sewell, Gibbs, and Amon Ra. I think those are the big playmakers. I think our offense is more powerful than our defense. Offense kind of has been the tail of the tape for the Lions over the last couple years, where this is what wins our games. And now, if Hutchinson does go down, the Detroit Lions do take a massive hit. But I these are always tricky because there's cases where Hutchinson, you can make the case he's one, you can make the case he's four, three, etc. So I'm not necessarily going to debate that he's 3, 4, 2, whatever. I think anything inside the top four is definitely what I would say. If you put him outside the top four, then that's where I would debate you. So Hutch for me, he's phenomenal, love him, but I just think there's a couple other guys that are a little bit more valuable.
I hear that. Let's get to those couple other guys because we're talking about number 2 Detroit Lion. So let's keep in mind, ASB finished with 29 total points for us. Hutchinson finished with 30 total points for us. Gibbs finished with 31 total points, so just 1 point above Hutch, 2 points above Amon-Ra St. Brown. Adam had him ranked number 2. That's Jahmyr Gibbs. I had him ranked number 2, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs ranked number 4 for Julius. So we're going to go back to Julius, and we're going to wonder why you have him ranked 4th. And I know it is hard, as Adam said, to decipher between why we went 1, 2, 3, 4, because all these are very dart throw. It's just kind of any given day, how you feel on that kind of day. But today, you had him ranked 4th. Why is Gibbs ranked 4th?
I rank Gibbs 4th because if our offensive line cannot run block for him at league average, he's going to average 3 yards a carry and bust his extension contract because he's a running back. And running backs only go as far as the run blocking scheme they're a part of. Sadly, now Jahmyr Gibbs with the ball in space, good blocking, is the best running back in the NFL. And I'm happy to have him. But that's the reason I ranked him 4th and not a little bit higher.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Running backs are sometimes looked at as, I don't want to say this is what you're saying, but I'm just saying in general, a dime a dozen almost, where it's like if Gibbs goes down, maybe Jacob Sailors comes in and isn't as good as Gibbs, but does good enough. Or if our offensive line cannot run block for him, is he actually going to be as successful as he could be? And that's dependent on your offensive line. Speaking of offensive line, let's get to our number 1 player. This is everyone's number 1 player. This is pretty much everyone in the nation's number 1 player. I have to assume. I don't know how he didn't win Protector of the Year last year, but it is Penei Sewell, who did come in, I believe like 22nd on the top 100 in NFL. Is that right?
I want to say it was like 33. It was an atrocious ranking. Gibbs came in the other day at number 9.
Yep.
Sewell, massively underrated by everyone. We saw Mike Clay at one point, ESPN analyst, put him as like the 18th best offensive lineman in the NFL. 3 straight All-Pros. That's all you need to know. Sewell is a beast, and I go back to my point of Jared Goff's the only player you could take off the Lions that would tank their season. Well, if you took Penei Sewell off the Lions, I think it's pretty dang close to taking Goff off the Lions because Goff would get destroyed. He'd get sacked every play. And switching him to the left side, I think he's going to be flawless because that's what elite future Hall of Fame players can do. They can transition to a similar position. He has played left tackle. And Sewell, we've seen him throughout the years. He's just been so dang reliable, so dang consistent, and really the heartbeat of the Lions offense, despite, not being able to put up those points or flashy numbers.
I love that. Julius, why is Sewell number 1 for you and for the Lions?
I mean, I love Adam alluded to where he's the closest thing to Goff. He's the closest thing to an irreplaceable player that we have to Goff. If we lost Sewell, Jared Goff would immediately change. He immediately digress. Now, would he digress to the point where we're not a playoff team? Maybe not. But would he digress to the point we're not a Super Bowl team? Probably. So that's why I rank Sewell number one. He's the best player in his position. He's a natural born left tackle, and he's gonna throw that shit right back in their face.
Yes, he surely will. I got him number one because as good as your quarterback is, if you don't have a guy protecting him that's elite, then that quarterback is subject to hits more times than not. Sewell is unbelievable. Unbelievable to watch on the field. But that's not why he's number one. It's not his play. And as good as it is, because he's an all-pro 3 years in a row, it should be that, right? It's not. It is the intensity that he brings before the game, through the game, and after the game that is so contagious that if he is not out there giving his pregame speeches, motivating and amping up his teammates throughout the game, then the Lions are not the Detroit Lions that Dan Campbell has built. They are now the Detroit Lions that we've seen for 30 plus years. That's why Sewell is so important to the Lions. That's why, despite, even if Goff were to get injured and we would lose more games than if Sewell were to get injured, when they're both healthy, Sewell's impact to the rest of the team is so important, more so than what Goff's motivation and spark would be to everyone else, because we know Goff is very calm, relaxed, and will just get the job done, but maybe not motivate his players like a guy like Penei Sewell will. So that is our top 10. We'll recap real quick. Aleem McNeil, Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, 10 through 1. That is it. Honorable mention to Kirby Joseph. We are the Honolulu Blues. Thank you for listening. Adam, why don't you close us out?
Real quick, right as you were ending that speech on Sewell, had to.
Thank you. I
don't know if that was loud enough, but
I'd like to thank.
There we go.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
Yeah, I think that's a solid top 10 list. Overall, check us out on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Honolulu Blues _, me, Nick, Julius, tweeting all sorts of good stuff. Season's right around the corner. We will be blasting out our live thoughts, which is all types of fun. Check us out on YouTube. If you're watching on Spotify, check us out on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, you can listen in the car, you can watch at home, you can do a little bit of everything. We love all the likes, the subscribes.
We're even on TikTok now. We're part of the young crew. We're Gen Zs now, boys.
We are. But as always, boys, go.
Lions.